Hey there, it's Jake, talking about a topic that was partially inspired by going out to a ranch, a New Mexico ranch. Hidden Valley Ranch, you like that? The shade hat? Been going there the whole life. Now, I don't actually eat ranch dressing, so that's not a prop available for today. However, we are talking about stock, aren't we? So don't be a chicken about your investments for this next decade. Here we go. The number one way to play the wind energy revolution. What geographical location? Which company? Which part of the business? Well, I'm just going to come right out and say it's Vestas Wind Energy. Was featured a couple weeks ago in an article that I'll link in the description for you to have a look at yourself as one of Goldman Sachs' 20 top picks to ride Europe's green revolution. Now, it doesn't take a political science PhD to understand that Europe has more ambitious decarbonization goals than many other countries in the world, some of which are still doing coal power plants, or U.S. is going crazy for the natural gas. Not as much the case in Europe, right? We can look at some other industries as far as, let's say, video games. We're expecting major growth in video games over the next decade as the world electrifies in distances. And it's just the popularity increases over time. But let me ask you this. How many governments have you heard of that have video game target date goals by 2030, X percent of video games? Are video games essential? The answer to both is no. The clientele of something like entertainment is comprised of citizens that have extra money to put toward this. Whereas when we're talking heavy essentials like energy, you've got governments that have tremendous borrowing power and central bank backing, covering an essential item that's not going away. And even as devices become more efficient, energy demand is expected to grow over time, right? And lastly, the renewables are a tremendously popular idea. People get into government and they face unbelievable pressure from voters, from the interest groups as far as nonprofits, and it just generally is always like things that are green. They look good, they sound good. Everybody wants to do things that are good for the environment. It's just an unambiguous. Ambiguous in the sense of there's trade-offs to everything, or the blades could kill birds, right? But unambiguous in the sense that people want to value a clean environment. So let's talk specifics here. 2018, Vestas installed 1.5 gigawatts of energy through their wind systems. That increased in 2019 to 11.3. So they're almost 10xing. 2019 was a record, and they're the market share leader right now, beating GE. You could buy GE. I'd be all right with that. However, there's a bunch of other businesses we're going for there, and I want to have a pure play right now. So that, in addition to some other things, is why this, I think, is the more compelling option at this point. Nothing wrong with going with a market leader, right? Especially if there's massive growth in the field. Payment processing, Visa. Entertainment, Disney. Digital advertising, Facebook and Google. Nothing wrong with going with some of the elites in the industry, right? Revenue, $12 billion. And you're thinking, wait, and that's the leader, $12 billion. Well, consider these numbers. A windmill commercial level could be 1 to 2 million. And then there are some larger ones, and you can read about this on the website. You got to make them taller. You got to make the blades longer. If they're going to be offshore, that's increasingly popular because that's where the wind is the strongest. You don't have to purchase the land from somebody in the sense that it's not somebody's backyard. So I think the major growth opportunity is there. And matter of fact, just today, literally, well, it's after midnight. That's how high the energy is right now. So yesterday, a deal was publicized with Japan, where the article referenced said that the V105 solution is a robust option given the challenging weather conditions as well as the need to maintain the physical beauty of the area. Trade-offs to everything. With wind, we got birds, we got the site. Some people say that they can be loud. Those are all things to take into account. Let's talk about risk profile. I'm not saying that what are called yield cos, so people who operate the assets or who sell the electricity, I think those are tremendous investments. And a green chip, you'll hear about Jake Little's green chip series coming soon. I read an 8-page insuring the renewables industry piece where they talk about what are the risks. There's the classic storm, the earthquake. Never forget the earthquakes; those can be devastating. But also the cybersecurity. Any business can be prone to that. Information stolen, money problems, things like that. But as far as nefarious cybersecurity risks, such as an EMP or an attack on the grid, if you're attacking the grid, you're not necessarily going after a factory. So as far as what sector are we looking at here? What type of investment is this? Some would say that I'm over allocated to energy. Well, this is related to energy, but it is a manufacturing investment. This is a group that is signing large deals to produce something that they then sell, and now it's off of their hands. Okay. So as far as the risk profile, I think it's an interesting way to diversify. And we'll talk more about cybersecurity investing because that's a tremendous one as well that'll only grow. 65% increase of capital expenditure for European utilities. A lot of capital spending going on. You got 27 EU countries, and guess how close they are to Denmark, where they're located? Pretty close. These things are not easy to move, so if you're producing them in Argentina and you have cost parity with what's getting produced in Denmark, if you're a European nation looking for offshore, you're going to take the further one or you're going to take the closer one, right? The time to buy. So they're coming off an all-time high today. There's $44 a share. It can take a little bit of a stomach to go ahead and pull the lever on a big one if you're waiting for a pullback and things like this. But I'll tell you what, I have in the past followed and currently industrial-based companies. So the one I'm referring to specifically is a welding gas operation. And there have been some international deals. They build something here, they sign something with this government, XYZ, and those are always accompanied by price swings, one direction or the other, right? I see the Japan deal. I wonder, okay, well, how's that going to be reflected in tomorrow's news? $44. Oh, then it goes to 47, and you're waiting. There is very, very little reasonable basis on which I would be able to predict when the appropriate time would be. I see where the bus is moving, right? I see where the train's going on the tracks. And I know that the longer I wait, the increased probability that it will be for good out of the price range. So is it fun to buy it at the all-time high? Perhaps not. However, there's an extra level of certainty knowing that despite the crisis, capital expenditure, 338 million over 5 years was announced in Botswana. Excuse me, it was Namibia. Shout out to Kate, a friend of mine who's been to Namibia. 338 million over 5 years. Population of 2.5 million people. $135.20. We'll do better on this next time. My apologies. $135.20 per person spending. So if we take 7 billion, so that's 7 followed by 9 zeros for those following along at home, times 135.2, we're looking at 946,400,000,000. Let's give it one more shot there. Yep. Major numbers. Huge. That's almost $1 trillion if the whole world spends only what Namibia is planning to do over the next 5 years. Is Vestas going to get the contract? This stuff came out a couple weeks ago. They're not even going to be breaking dirt until 2021, 22. That's another reason why the investment philosophy here is grounded in patience. We got to wait for the deals to be announced. You got to wait for the bid to be taken. You have to wait for it to be constructed, and then you're selling the additional turbines years down the road. So these do take time, but what does not take time is for the price to make something no longer a bargain. And there are a couple that we all have got companies we wish that we owned currently that we don't because we were just waiting for that perfect time and now it's gone crazy. So I hope this was helpful and informative. I'm going to continue to feed some information, give you my best stuff as far as what's going on and how things are working. Have an awesome rest of the day, a good rest of the week. Keep reading these articles and let me know if you find anything interesting that I should have a look at. There are 19 other stocks on the list of 20 from Goldman Sachs, so I'll make sure to jump in there and see what else is coming up as far as opportunities go. We'll catch you next time.